Welcome, Lee. Welcome in Rebel Leader with a Heart. It's very nice to have you here all across the world from Wisconsin.
Ariel, I'm so happy to be on your show. I really love what you do, and I'm so excited about our conversation.
Yeah, me too, because we haven't talked about personal branding yet, and it's a hot topic.
Very.
When you look at social media, a lot of leaders are starting to do it. And you say everybody should do it. So I'm really curious about that. But before diving into that topic, maybe you can tell us a little bit who you are.
Sure. So I'm Lee Caraher. I'm a lot of things. I'm the founder and CEO of Double Forte, which is a US-based public relations and communications firm. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a friend, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm an author of 2 books about creating great positive team cultures. And I have a dog who's sitting over here on this couch, and hopefully we will not hear him during our interview.
And if we hear him, it's okay. And you know, this podcast is called Rebel Leader with a Heart. So I'm curious to know what your rebel side is and what your heart side is.
Yes. Well, I think my rebel side is I started this company in 2002, so almost 20 years ago, which is bizarre, after leaving a very large international company. Basically, I was the rogue person in that company. And then 9/11 really inspired me to align my thoughts and my hopes with my everyday life, because I really disliked that job. So when I started this company, 2 things. One, I was determined to actually like my job. So that by itself is rebellious. And to define success in not the way that I had grown up in my business world. In my business world and agency world, there's very clear metrics that everybody measures, and they create very challenging lives for those of us who run them. And so I was like, you know what, I don't have to do that. I'm going to create my own set of metrics on what success is, and we're going to go that way. My colleagues who I used to work with and my friends in the business thought I was nuts by the way I define success. So I feel that's rebellious. On the heart side, my belief is that, people are what make business work. You cannot do a thing without a person, and that humans, we're complicated and we're messy. But if we understand the humans who are around us, number one, and we set very clear goals and high bars, that we can actually lead with the heart, which I think is so important, and produce great companies at the same time by embracing that messiness and not trying to make all of our people fit into a little box, because there's no box that a person can fit in. I don't care what anybody says. So if your box is shaped like a heart, it means it's messy. But if you embrace the mess of it, it just is so much easier. It's just so much easier to actually do a business than it is when you try to make everybody check boxes off.
Yeah, that's nice. Nice. I like it. And a great part of what you do is personal branding.
Yes.
So a lot of my listeners are leaders in organizations. And so you say personal branding is important, and it's important for everyone. Why do you think it's so important?
Well, I think, what is a brand, right? A brand, we define a brand as how other people describe you. So you already have a brand, right? You may not know what your brand is, but you already have a brand. If you are known as the nitpicking person, if you are known as the fun guy, if you are known as the exacting leader, if you are known as the person who's perfectionist, that's your brand, right? And that may not be the brand we want, right? Or we may not, if we're not aware of it. So one, our personalities and our leadership styles, they are the brands. And what brands, brands that are shaped and authentic, so it has to be real, you can't fake a brand, are people who have strong personal brands are the people who have the most opportunity in their careers. Because people, no one, when you're looking for a new job, either in your company or in a new place, or you're trying to start a new project, right? How many times have we started a new project and go, oh God, I hope I'm not on so-and-so's team, right? That's because that person has a brand, right? Which is not a positive one. So when the brand is what people say about you, and it's what you put into the world. So the thing about personal branding is making sure that you are putting out into the world what you want to put out into the world, either through leadership style, either thought leadership, how you interact with people, what you're known for, and then also how do you reinforce it over time? So that is the personal brand, what other people say about you. And most people would go, oh, what's on my LinkedIn? My LinkedIn is my brand. Well, LinkedIn should reflect your brand. And most LinkedIn profiles are terrible. They're so boring. You want everything that speaks for you, your resume, your title, what people say about you, your LinkedIn profile, your bio in your company, to speak positively and reflect your potential and your impact, not necessarily your past. Anyway, so that your brand is what people say about you, and personal branding is the action that you take to make sure that it reflects what you want it to reflect. Sometimes that's coaching. Sometimes that's like, oh, I had no idea. I had no idea that people hated me. I had no idea. And sometimes it's just harnessing what you do to make your impact bigger.
Yeah. And so how do you start?
Yeah. So the first piece, if you are a lead, I'll just speak at it from your audience, for your leader perspective. So you're a leader. So by definition, you have people who are following you. They're choosing, they're choosing to follow you, right? In the Western world, we choose who we follow in work. So you're already ahead, right? Some people might not like who they're following, but they're choosing to follow you. So what is that? So the first piece is, doing your own assessment of who you are, not necessarily all you've accomplished, but how you are, how you lead, how these things. And sometimes people do this, in the 360, and they see what the words pop up of. Sometimes they just, one of the most effective ways to do this investigation part is to talk to your peers, talk to the people who know you best, your old employees, your old boss, and say, what would you say? How would you look at your old reviews and say, what are the words that pop up, right? What are the words that pop up? Do you do that list first? And then you do the list, like, who do I want to be? What is the person, what is the leader I want to be known as? And then you compare the two and you see if there's any gaps, right?
Yeah.
So that's the work of the gap is really the work of executive coaching, of saying, if you are too harsh, if you're not an empathetic leader, if you can't lead with your heart, then you need to learn how to do that, or you're not going to have potential. If you can't accept people for who they are and help them achieve, then you need to learn how to do that. So let's just put that to this side, right? You have the more power you give away, the more power you have. So as a leader, your job is to create more power around you than you actually hold. That only elevates the whole team, right? And we know things about teams, right? We know that teams that are highly appreciated outperforms those that don't by up to 30%. So if you're not known as an appreciative person, I was not known as an appreciative person before I did this, my coaching. I had a coach, and the 360 said I wasn't appreciative. I was so shocked. You go learn how to do that. So you can, do that self-assessment and do the real world assessment and see where the gaps are. Now, imagine that you are, you're a leader and you like what's reflected back to you. What is that impact you want to make in the world? Who do you want to be known as? So the first piece is to write that down. And then look at, the worst thing is always the corporate bio. The corporate bio is the dullest thing written by humankind. It really is. It's like, with 25 years of experience and it doesn't say anything about your special sauce. My dog. Okay, sorry. It doesn't say anything about your special sauce, and your special sauce really, if you want to think about it that way, is your brand. So, for instance, my bio used to say Lee Caraher, with 25 years of experience. Well, now it's 35 years of experience in corporate communications, is the CEO and founder of Double Forte PR. It's just so biological. I mean, it's chronological. It's like, check the box what I did. And it doesn't say anything about what I bring to the party. Nothing. So instead, now it says something like Lee Caraher, founder and CEO of Double Forte, is known for her. I'm known for my big laugh. I'm known for pragmatic solutions to big business problems. That's what I'm known for. Like, if you have a big business problem, you want to solve it, you bring me in and I can help you solve it through communication. I'm also known for, I'm definitely known for my sense of humor. Maybe it's not so appropriate, and for building great teams. So you put the things that you're known for into your bio. And if you just do that, and I can give you examples of this, Muriel, so you can see the before and the after, so people can see. But if just start there, like, what should people say about you? Not 25 years of experience with I mean, it doesn't tell you anything about your special sauce.
Yeah.
So you want to start with your special sauce and start with your corporate bio. Now, if you have a PR team that won't let you change it, well, you can change your LinkedIn profile. So do that. And then you want to look, your LinkedIn profile for the business person is the most important public facing thing. And there's, you want to make sure it reflects, again, your special sauce, not just your accomplishments, right? But the things that you bring to the party that make you different. So the most effective LinkedIn things are how you solve problems are the best profiles. Because so imagine you want a different job, or you want a different job in your own company, right? They're going to be they're not seeking someone 25 years of experience. They're seeking a problem solver for a certain thing at a certain level. So you want to, in your LinkedIn profile, be showing people how you solve whatever that problem is you're known for solving. So it could be an engineer, you could be a doctor, you could be a PR person, you could be an executive coach, you could be anything. But what is it, the problem that you solve? And that really, from a professional perspective, is the special sauce, right? So what problem do you solve and how do you do it? So I've solved problems, so for myself, solve business problems with practical communication solutions. And how do I do it? By building great teams with who are highly appreciated and perform at a high level, something like that. So those kinds of things you can do. So that's the first piece, right? Is what do you want to put into the world? It needs to be true. It can be aspirational. It should be aspirational. None of us is perfect. But it needs to be more about your special sauce than about your prior accomplishments.
Yeah. And then, because the world is a very crowded place, and
yes,
there are more and more people doing personal branding. So
yes,
what can you then do to make yourself heard or seen?
Absolutely. So a few things, many things, a few things. I got a whole list of things you could do. So if you are a leader in a company, the first piece is those pieces, right? Be known for what you're known for in your company. And then, are there opportunities? I'm sure all your PR departments, if you're the CEO, this is your job, right? This is your job, is to go out there in the world and espouse the company's vision, mission, purpose, why we're here, performance, all that kind of stuff. So, but the purpose of the company what you stand for, what are your values, all those things. These are things if you're any leader, you should be espousing. So there are many things you can do, right? So you could be being known as the expert, the spokesman for the company. If you're a spokesperson for the company, if you're not the spokesperson for the company and you're a senior leader, go tell your PR team that you want to be a spokesperson for the company on your area. They will probably be very happy to hear that. They're always looking for good people who are at a high level, who can talk about things that will help the company. So that's the first piece, right? If you're inside a company, what can you be a spokesperson on for your company? Go talk to the PR team or your communications team and say, if you're the chief financial officer, what are the financial publications that you can talk about, like CFO in a certain industry, what's going on, what are best practices, trends, all that kind of stuff. That's number one. Number two is you should have a LinkedIn profile. You should have a Twitter profile. Your Twitter profile should mimic your LinkedIn profile. And depending on how there's a lot of bad things about Twitter, but if you want the media to find you, you need to be on Twitter, because the media, that's their medium. That's how they talk to each other. That's how they find people. That's how they understand if they're trending or not. That's their job, is to trend. So they find people on Twitter. So then the next piece is, where are you speaking? Are you speaking at conferences? Are you speaking at webinars? Are you giving keynotes at industry or company things, right? So sometimes it's just starting within the company. Like, what are the things you can do within the company to be a speaker within the company, be recognized as a subject matter lead, subject matter expert. And really, women are behind the 8 ball on this in general across the country, across the world. Men definitely have a bigger say, across the world. In the media, men are quoted as experts about 75% of the time, and women less. But if you're a woman leader, a lot of the time women think, oh, no one wants to hear what I have to say. I'm just going to keep doing my job. Well, as a woman leader, you need to understand that if you're a woman and a leader, you are a leader. And so therefore your opinion counts, and you should be speaking as an expert on your topic. So, what are the conferences? What are the webinars? What are the industry gatherings that you can do? If you don't have one, create your own, right? Find 20 other women or 10 other women, and maybe just focus on women leaders in your industry, and create a quorum, and then just get together and see what happens, right? Other things you can do is publish articles. You can publish articles so if your company has a blog, which it should, so if it doesn't have a blog, go make one happen. You could be tell that comms team that you want to author articles, and you would be willing to author 6 articles a year, right? 6. And I was like, oh God, I don't have time to do 1,000 words 6 times. You have time to do 1,000 words 6 times a year, right? And then share that stuff all onto your LinkedIn, right? Anything you do internally for the company, if you're in a article, if you are a speaker, if you are writing a blog for your company, these are all things that with your name attached, that's building your brand. Share them on the LinkedIn so that they can see what you mean when you're describing yourself up top, and on Twitter. So those are 3 things that you can do within the confines of your company that will help the company and build your brand, right? Because if you are, and if you're the CEO, this is your job. You should be doing this stuff. Mm-hmm. And if you're not doing this stuff, well, there are a few companies who don't do this stuff because of who they are and how they operate. But in general, companies that are selling a product, companies that have a service, companies that are leaders in their field or want to be leaders in their field, they should be out there in the public mind, right? And that public mind could be just trade publications, so very small newsletter that only goes to 50 people, or it could be in the Financial Times or the Wall Street Journal, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But what I also see is that many more high-end leaders, top leaders, they use ghostwriters or other companies to do it for them. Mm-hmm. Is that something you would advise?
Well, as my that's my business, right? So I think that the important thing, well, a ghostwriter, I'm not a big fan of the ghostwriter for a book. I mean, the biggest personal branding thing is a book, right? There's so many business leaders who write books about their experience in leading, and they use ghostwriters. The best ghostwriters are very expensive, and you need to look at every single word. It doesn't actually diminish the work you need to do to use a ghostwriter, but it should use your time the best way. So in our world and our clients, we often write first, here's how we do it, right? The best ghostwriters do a lot of, or PR firms or content development firms or writers or speech writers, they talk to the person first, right? Mm-hmm. They know what they establish what that person's point of view is. They understand what that person's voice is. And then they provide the first draft. And then really, it's the person, it's that leader's responsibility to take it from first draft, to shape it in their voice with their point of view. And if they, the first interview is the most important thing you can do in that, so that you actually get, I would never allow anybody to write something for me who hadn't interviewed me.
Yeah.
How are they going to know? I mean, it's a corporate voice, not my voice. If it's my name, there's corporate voice, which is the company's POV. And then there's my voice, which is my name on something. They're very different. So, I mean, I've created, there's lots of businesses that do this. Some do it really well and some do not. But don't assign your name to anything that you don't approve, ever. That's true on Twitter. There are a lot of companies that do Twitter for people. Particularly, as well. And then if they comment, there are guidelines, right? And so you approve the guidelines under which you will allow someone to be you on your Twitter handle as well, right? And if you are commenting, just you put your initials. Michelle Obama is really good at that, right? Usually her staff does it, but if she's the one who's actually typing, she puts MO, Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
But the point is to be found, right? A personal brand, a person with a personal brand can be found by the people you want to be found by. So it might be just 20 people.
Yeah.
Frankly, it could be 100 people. You just want to be, you want to be known as this in this world, in this industry for that, right? It may not be a lot of people, but how you get to be known by those people is to figure out where are those people, who's influencing those people, right? And go where that is.
Yeah. Because I see a lot of people doing it, but not a lot of people being successful at it also.
What do you mean? I think a lot of people do it, but it may not be successful. I mean, they might just say, oh, I got stuff out there that's successful. It may not be effective in that it's not authentic, it's not driving a business, it's not doing what you want to do, right? So every brand, like your own company brand, a brand has a strategy. Your personal brand should have a strategy.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's two things, right? Are you using it for the benefit of your company and then drafting off of that? So you're coming behind it, but you're getting your name out there attached to a company. And then there are a lot of individuals, solopreneurs who are doing it for their businesses, and they're doing a lot of activity, but it's not resulting in business. And that's two different things.
Yeah.
Two very different things.
Yeah. But then there is also the question of authenticity. So how do you make sure it remains authentic when you're working with another company?
Yeah. So in that world, I'll just take you through our process, right? For a person or a company, first you agree on what are the lanes you're going to play in, right? So what are you known as? What is your expertise? What is your subject matter domain? What are your points of view on important things? What will you and will you not comment on politically? Because now leaders are asked to be the moral compass in our world now. Business leaders, where it used to be government leaders really had that position, or religious leaders had that position. those people do not have that position as much, in fact, as corporate leaders. Corporate leaders are looked to as the moral compass now everywhere. So what are the topics you will and will not comment on? So for instance, if a company has a very progressive stance on, I don't know, how it spends its volunteer money or its charity money, or where it doesn't put its money, will you comment on it? In this country, there are many companies, it's called cancel culture. I don't like that word, cancel culture. But what are the things you will, I'm not going to, I have a son who is, a son who is gay, and I have a son who's special needs, developmentally challenged. So I'll talk about that stuff all day long. You can't stop me, right? But if I worked for a company that wouldn't let me, I would quit. But I would have to know, right? So what are those topics you will and will not talk about? What are the 3 or 4, no more than that, subject matter expertise areas you want to focus on? And then what's your point of view about the future? Your point of view really doesn't care, the point, even historians, they talk about the past in order to inform the future. What's your point of view on the future? What's your purpose in your future? So those things, right? You have that conversation. You create a message platform that is, for the company, it's much easier than for a person. But the company is, we're the leader in X, you figure that stuff out, how you differentiate. And then for yourself, what are the words you want to use? What are the topics you want to use? What would you never say, just making sure that person knows, right? And then you create we call it a brand platform voice document that, and then we practice it with that person, right? So we create, we mock things up for about a month and send them through to that person, and they correct it. So, and we, there is AI that does this. It's 80% good, and the 80% is not good enough if you want someone to represent you.
Yeah.
Not good enough. You need 100%.
So you invest in that relationship. So it takes time in the beginning, and then
it's long term.
Yeah, once you know the voice, then you don't trust each other, and it's okay.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of the times, what we do is just get people started, right? So we have a program that does this. We just, people are like, I don't even know where to start. So it's a project. It's a 3-month project. And we go and we figure all this stuff out for them, and we decide where they should show up, what are the topics they should show up on, what are the headlines that say, where should they, and we help them create the content that they will be putting into the world that will reflect that. And then, we're done. We create all the stuff for them. We tell them exactly what to do and how to do it, and then they're off and they go do it themselves. If they, but they just can't do the startup because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to get going, as you know, right? It's a lot of work to get, you have a podcast. It's so much work to get a podcast off the ground. It's a lot of work to get going. So we help, sometimes we just help people get it going, and then we're off, we go away, and we check in with them 3 months later. If we're doing it ongoing, then it's an ongoing relationship, and we are doing things in advance as much as possible so that people can have time to approve. Because maybe people's, definitely in the last 2 years of world, people's opinions of things have changed. Mm-hmm. People, the whole George Floyd thing, what's going, Premier League soccer has had such, I'm a huge fan of Premier League soccer, and just the impact that Premier League soccer's had around the world on many issues. There, you could see how those, we call it soccer here, you call it football there, but what are you going to stand for? So we figure that people have changed their brain on many topics in the last 2 years. So being in constant communication with your people to say, yeah, that was my point of view, and now this is my point of view, is super important, because you're not static. Your thoughts are going to evolve. You're going to learn something. You're going to screw up. You're going to fix it. You're going to apologize. All that stuff. Yeah. So that's the authentic part of it, is that it's not static, that it grows. As you grow, it grows. Mm-hmm.
And so it's an investment then that you make, that you will get back by having more opportunities in your career.
Absolutely.
I guess not every organization will pay for this for every leader. So some of them might have to invest time or money.
Yeah. And I think that if you start in the company that you're in, like where can you do things that will benefit the company, and where you will build, if you're of service to the company and helping them advance on certain topics. I haven't met a company that doesn't want that. Sometimes they can't prioritize that work. Like they'll prioritize one topic over another. And so you may offer 12 articles or do this, and they'll say, we'll take 6. But it's unusual that someone would not at least invest in the work or help you do it, because it helps the company. If you are getting a no, thank you, anyway, you're not high enough up, go find another job is what I would say. Because, you want to be in a place that that appreciates your contributions, and your contributions should be understood, unless it's clandestine. I think your contributions should be shared with the world. And, in most companies, the vast majority of companies will embrace that.
Mm-hmm. And otherwise, if somebody says, I'd like to start with you on this personal branding.
Oh, yeah.
What is the budget that you have to have in mind then?
It's for the 3-month program, it's a $15,000 US for 3 months, for 90 days.
Yeah.
And what that does is give you a platform. It gives you some content, it gives you a plan, gives you your voice. We evaluate we do an audit on you. We look at your photos. Often the times it's just like, you just need to change your photo. Your photo is terrible. I mean, there's so many bad photos out there. So sometimes it's just the photo, right? And then we put together a plan for you. So if you tell us your goal, and we put together the plan and all the content and the messaging, so that you can go do it yourself. Sometimes people are like, thank you for all this. I'm going to do it myself, and they do it. It's awesome. And sometimes people are like, I just can't get to it, and they hire us ongoing. But that's not the purpose of the program. The purpose of the program is to get people to be able to do it themselves with a budget that is enough for us to get really good work done in enough heft, thump weight, so that it actually can be executed by you.
Yeah. And then you would help them with 1 or 2 platforms? Is it then LinkedIn?
Depends on the person.
Twitter? Yeah.
Usually, so I'm going to thinking, like, I guess in the last year, it's always LinkedIn. It's always Twitter. And sometimes we add Facebook or Pinterest or Instagram.
Yeah.
Depends on who it is and what they're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah, because I see some leaders doing really a great job out there, and some others where they don't have many followers or not many likes. And
yeah, well, and then there's 2 pieces on that too, right? You have to engage, right? In the social media, if you're just pumping stuff out and not engaging with people, unless you are someone like Elon Musk or unless you're someone who, or Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg, those really people who have, people just want to know what the heck they're doing, well, that's less than 0.0001% of the population. You need to engage. So you can't just be, you can't just be, like, here's my opinion and not engaging with other people.
Yeah.
So on LinkedIn, it's finding who are you following. Also, and in general, the more influential you are, the less people you follow in general. Right. But I just don't be, I would say, go first of all on LinkedIn, like everybody who's ever worked with you. So for those of us who have run companies, like everybody who ever was in your company. Well, that's a lot of people, right? And they let them follow you. My second book is called The Boomerang Principle. And it's about installing instilling or inspiring lifetime loyalty from your employees, even when they leave you, well, the easiest way to keep in touch with them is to follow them on Facebook and LinkedIn. I mean, that's the easiest thing you can possibly do, right?
Yeah.
And then, so you just have to go into it. So sometimes when we work with somebody that I don't have time for LinkedIn, that we'll ask them to identify the top 50 people in their LinkedIn profile who matter to them. And then and they'll tell us a little bit. I mean, it's a lot of work, right? To tell us a little about why these people matter, da, 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 da. And then if that person on that list like posts something interesting, we will share it from the client's account, right?
Yeah.
But you should be sharing other people's stuff or liking or commenting. And you can just do this in half an hour a week, right? This can be absolutely just half an hour a week that you do it. I do this on Fridays. Friday is my catch-up day. So I go on to LinkedIn for about, Friday, 45 minutes for myself. But I go in, I see who's doing stuff. I share it out again. And so people know that you're not just there for yourself, you're there to help them too, right? It's an ecosystem. Same thing on Twitter. There are very few people who can just pump stuff out and have it just be positive all the time. So you're engaging, you're liking, you're retweeting, you're giving a little commentary. And this is where, particularly on Twitter, this is where if someone's doing this for you, it's so important to know what you will and will not comment on. So will you comment on politics? Will you not? Will you comment on what personal day, like what are the holidays that matter to you? So depending on your religion, like understanding where you're going to play. If someone's doing that for you, they need to know you. They can't just assume, right? So yeah, you could do Twitter. Twitter's a little harder to do in half an hour a week, but you can do it, right? You can do it. I do half an hour 3 times a week on Twitter. And it's like, who's in my network? Who's following me? I see what's happening. Then I go into trends, see what's going on, do something commentary. And that's how it grows, right? And every once in a while, the algorithm will sweep through all of these, social media platforms and delete lots of people because they're not real people. Don't worry about that. Just worry about, being engaging and being findable. Really.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
It's work. I mean, it's work.
It's work. It's work. I know,
but it's also,
I know it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, work is work, right? It's work, but it doesn't have to be. You're not, as leaders, we're influential, but not influencers. Does that make sense? We're not out there, making the perfect Instagram or trying to do that. We are influential. Our words matter. When we say, this happened to me last week, I said a word I thought was very complimentary to one of my staff people. It was so terrible, Muriel. Oh my God, I offended her so much and thinking I was being, complimentary. Our words matter so much. So, you are influential. Just know that. You don't have to, spend your life on Instagram to be influential. You already are influential. How do you use that influence for good? How do you use that influence to make most of us are leaders. We're here to make an impact. How do you make your impact bigger? How do you keep the people who've come through your life connected to you? The easiest way is through social media, and to be intentional and purposeful with that. And to lift other people up. You have the power to do that with LinkedIn and Twitter. And that only helps you. Yeah. It only helps you in your personal brand as well.
Yeah. I like the idea of lifting other people up. I think it's really important.
Well, I think that's the other piece, right? I mean, there's so much negative stuff. I mean, you can be really negative. I mean, you can go down a rat hole of negativity and vitriol on anything, right? Don't be that person. Just don't be that. If you have a snarky content, so if you're a comedian, all right, have a snarky comment. But if you're not a comedian, people aren't going to know who the heck, only the people who know you will have the inside joke. Twitter is not the place for the inside joke. It really isn't, right? So, choose positive words, choose to only, choose to reinforce facts. Absolutely. You know, amplify facts, amplify the positive. When someone's done something amazing, share it with your people. When someone has apologized, you know, someone screwed up and then they apologize, and you know them and they say so on in social media, just go back, thank you for your apology. You know, lift people up. You'll just have much more influence if you lift people up than if you tear them down.
Yeah.
And more opportunity.
Yeah.
There's just more opportunity. The more positive you are, the more opportunity there is.
Yeah. That's also why I love the book, The Go Giver.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's about giving.
And it makes you feel better, right? You get to, I a while ago in a political cycle where I was distraught with the options, I was very negative about the person I did not support. And I realized I was just feeling horrible. I mean, I was just like, oh God, I'm angry. Whoa.
Yeah.
So instead I was like, why am I so angry? And my friend said, Lee, all you're doing is putting negative energy out there. I'm like, oh.
And then that's what you get back. Yeah.
And that's what you get back. So instead I flipped it to say only positive things about the person I supported. And the other person still frustrated me, but I felt so much better. And I was just amplifying positive stuff. If we just amplify positive instead of the negative, I think we can truly, I think that we can come, you know, the things that are on the very edges of our political system, our cultural systems will come closer, because most of us, the vast majority of us, are in the middle.
Yeah.
Are pretty positive about whoever we believe in, right? And it's the people on the very edges who apparently don't have anything but time to be negative, you know, stirring it up the pot.
Yeah.
So no one wants to hire somebody negative.
No.
Nobody wants to work for somebody negative. Nobody wants to be on a project with somebody negative. No, you can have doubt and be positive.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can be positive, but I like also to lift other people up. Yeah. Just not being positive about yourself or your view of the world, but also about other people. Yeah.
So true. Like if you're, that could just, you know, your personal brand, you could be on a small team. Maybe you have a project and you're a team of 6 and you're the leader. Well, you want to start, you set the tone for that project from the first kickoff, right? And who's on the team? Like go through who's on that team. What are the different roles? What are the different things you're looking forward to working with that person on? Why did you choose that person to be on the team? What do you hope people can do, right? And if you set the tone by spending an hour at the beginning just talking about the different roles and what the project's goal is and how we're going to work and all that stuff, and then sharing why you chose these people, oh my gosh, you start way up here as opposed to, oh my God, it's going to be a grind, you know?
Yeah.
That hour, half an hour at the beginning makes everything more efficient, makes things go faster because no one's worrying about it. People are excited. People are excited when you lift them up, when you say you chose them, when you say, you know, I think your skills in X, Y, Z will be so great. I know you have other skills. What else are you looking forward to contributing to this team, and letting people tell you, right? Not just prognosticating, but listening as well. The lifting up is where we, you know, frankly, so we saw earlier, and I realize, Muriel, I'm so sorry I'm giving you such long answers, but teams that feel appreciated outperform those that don't, up to 30%. So what does that mean? People on your team who know that they have a positive role, that their work is appreciated, that they're part of the team, that they're getting reinforcement by saying great job, or thank you for your effort, or thanks for coming in early for this, or I so appreciate you picking up the ball on that, or whatever it is, right? When you are putting positive appreciation into your team, they do what? They work more efficiently. We know this. This is proven. They work more efficiently because they're human. They are not grinding on the fact that they don't feel appreciated. They're not grinding on the fact that I did all that work and no one noticed, right? But if you actually make sure that you notice and that other people notice each other, and that's your culture, you get you get more efficiency. And the efficiency is and when you have more efficiency, meaning people are not wasting time, what you would call it wasting time, they would not call it wasting time. They're human. They are grinding on something that really bothers them. And if it bothers them, it snowballs, and all of a sudden you have a problem on the team. When you are, doesn't mean that there won't be problems on the team. I'm just not saying that. But the more gratitude and the more appreciative your team is, the faster they do things, the less mistakes they make, and the better the outcome. Like you might have a project, and a good team that is feeling appreciated might do a project +2.
Yeah,
that is proven. There's lots of data on this. So that's your job. Your job is to, if you just strictly talk it from a business perspective, you could be the meanest person in the world, but you better be appreciating everybody there, because you're going to do a better job. You're going to have better results if you're an appreciative leader. And frankly, it's impossible to do that and not be better. You can't not be better at leading when you're appreciative.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is counterintuitive, right? It's counterintuitive to spend time doing that. But we have the data. There's so much data on this.
Okay, so let's finish on that note, that lifting people up, appreciating it will help your personal branding, but also the performance of your teams and of your people.
Which is your personal brand. Your personal brand is reflected in your performance and what people do around you.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything. So
where can people find you?
The easiest place to find me is at my company website, double-forte, FORTE.com. I'm really easy to find, or at Lee Caraher on all social media, or leecaraher.com. I'm really easy to find.
We will put the links in the show notes of the episode.
Wonderful.
Well, it was really nice having you here. So we've learned a little bit more about personal branding. I hope we've motivated a few leaders to start their journey.
Have it in you. You can do it.
Exactly.
You already have one. Make sure it's the one you want.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you very much. And maybe we'll see each other again.
Thank you so much, Marielle. I really appreciate it. I hope I get to meet you in person someday.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, you finished another episode of Rebel Leader with a Heart. If you want more, go to rebelleaderwithaheart.com for show notes and past episodes. If you love the show, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. The more, the merrier. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great week, you Rebel Leader with a Heart.